For years, the world of hip-hop has been built on toughness and image, but behind the fame, some OG rappers have kept their true selves hidden.
Kirk Burroughs and Diddy was lovers, or they had some kind of relation.
From Gene Deal confirming shocking truths about Diddy's secret lifestyle.
The hardest thing about being my age is not everybody, but frequently teenagers are stereotyped.
To stories about Tupac's wild and rebellious days as a teenager, here are 10 legendary rappers who might be hiding shocking secrets about their identity. Sean Diddy Combs. Puff Diddy. Let's kick things off with arguably the most prominent name in this entire conversation, the man who built an empire, shaped the sound of East Coast hip-hop, and created Bad Boy Records into a cultural phenomenon.
Think Diddy gay? I don't know what that means. Do I think Diddy is a bisexual? Yes, I do. And that right there is coming from just my experience.
We're talking about Sean Diddy Combs, also known as Puff Diddy, P. Diddy, and simply Diddy. This man has been a foundational figure in hip-hop since the early 1990s, discovering and producing for artists like the Notorious B.I.G., Maze, and Faith Evans, while also building a business empire that extends far beyond music. But behind all that success, behind the luxurious lifestyle and the mogul image, there's been a persistent shadow following Diddy for decades. Rumors about his sexuality that have escalated from whispers to full-blown allegations in recent years, and in 2024 and 2025, these rumors exploded into the mainstream consciousness in ways nobody could have predicted.
Everybody gets a little bit more comfortable and loose, builds up a nice little sweat. That just sounds disgusting.
One of the most damning accounts comes from Diddy's ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, in her lawsuit against him. Cassie didn't just accuse Diddy of physical abuse, she also described him as someone who was bi-curious, but deeply ashamed of his same-sex interests. Think about that for a moment. Here's a woman who was in an intimate relationship with this man for years, and she's saying he harbored secret desires that he couldn't reconcile with his public image. But Cassie isn't the only one talking. Industry insiders have been coming forward with their own stories. Take Choke No Joke, a figure in the hip-hop community who has outright called Diddy gay and claimed that Diddy made unwanted advances toward him. Then there's actor Terrence Howard, who alleged that Diddy attempted to make sexual advances on him. As well, these aren't random trolls on the internet. These are people with careers and reputations who are putting their names on these claims. Perhaps one of the most explosive sources of information has been Gene Deal. Diddy's former bodyguard Gene has shared multiple stories over the years about seeing Diddy in compromising situations with male rappers.
Kirk Burroughs and Diddy was lovers, or they had some kind of relationship like that. Remember I told you that? And you was like,
I remember that. You told me that years ago.
yeah, and you said to me, yo, you gonna speak about it? I said, nah, I ain't gonna speak about it, bro. You understand? I'm gonna wait till he speak about it.
As someone who was in Diddy's inner circle, who traveled with him, who saw behind the scenes, Gene's testimony carries weight. He's described situations that, if true, paint a picture of a man living a double life, projecting hypermasculinity to the world while engaging in same-sex encounters in private. By 2025, the situation has reached a critical point. Diddy is facing over 24 lawsuits accusing him of sexual assault, and trafficking. Federal raids have been conducted on his homes. The allegations span years and involve multiple accusers, both male and female, while Diddy has denied these accusations, and his legal team has focused on business-related defenses. The sheer volume and consistency of the claims have made it impossible for the public to ignore. Next up, we have a true legend, one of the founding fathers of West Coast gangster rap, Dr. Dre. Andre Young Dre's influence on hip-hop cannot be overstated. From Straight Outta Compton to The Chronic to 2001, his production defined entire eras. He's the man who perfected G-Funk, who brought a cinematic quality to rap music, who showed that a producer could be just as important as the rapper. But behind that legendary status, there have been rumors about his sexuality that date back to the height of his fame. The origins of these rumors can be traced to one of hip-hop's most notorious feuds, the bad blood between Death Row Records and its co-founders, Suge Knight and Dr. Dre, when Dre left Death Row in the mid-1990s to start Aftermath Entertainment. Suge Knight was furious and Suge being Suge. He didn't just let it go quietly. He started making allegations that would follow Dre for decades. Suge Knight has repeatedly claimed in multiple interviews over the years that Dr. Dre is gay.
Back in those days, you couldn't be a gay rapper. So when everybody's saying he was gay and all this type of stuff from everybody.
He's gone as far as naming alleged partners, including someone he referred to as Bruce, and others according to Suge. These weren't just one-time encounters. They were relationships. Suge has tied these allegations to Dre's split from his ex-girlfriend, Michelle, suggesting that the relationship ended because of Dre's sexuality. Michelle herself added fuel to these rumors when she once implied that she had caught Dre with a man. The statement sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community. However, she later walked back some of these implications, specifically denying that the man involved was Tupac Shakur, as some had speculated, but the damage was done. The seed had been planted in people's minds. The dices didn't just come from death row executives. Dre's former NWA groupmate, Xzibit, went after him in tracks, calling him gay in his lyrics. This was during the height of their beef, when E was furious about Dre leaving the group and taking the spotlight. And then there was Tupac Shakur, who also threw similar barbs at Dre during his own contentious relationship with Death Row. When you have multiple people from your own circle making these accusations, it becomes harder to dismiss them as baseless gossip for his part. Dr. Dre has largely ignored these allegations. He's never addressed them directly in interviews or statements. Instead, he's let his work speak for itself. He's emphasized his family life, his children, his relationships with women, and he's focused on his production legacy and his business ventures, including the massively successful beats by Dre. His strategy has been to simply not engage, to not dignify the rumors with a response. Now, let's turn our attention to an East Coast legend who doesn't always get the recognition he deserves, but who is absolutely crucial to hip-hop's golden era. Erick Sermon. Erick Sermon was known for his smooth production style, his laid-back flow, and his ability to create beats that felt effortless, yet were incredibly intricate. Alongside his partner, Parrish Smith, Sermon built EPMD into one of the most respected groups in hip-hop history. But despite his contributions to the culture, Sermon has dealt with persistent rumors about his sexuality that have followed him since the 1990s. These rumors reached their peak in the early 2000s when radio personality Wendy Williams, who was then a prominent shock jock in New York before her television career, brought them up on her show. Wendy Williams was never one to shy away from controversy, and she implied on air that Erick Sermon was gay, basing her claims on what she called industry whispers, the kind of behind-the-scenes gossip that circulates in music business circles.
I don't care about answering this. Wendy Williams had implicated a lot of people into where she was getting her job, quote, quote, her job, per se. And a person like me, I never thought that it will get that far. So when I heard all these names get brought up besides me, I thought it was a ploy for her to get what she get with stardom. You know what I mean?
The impact of Williams' comments was significant in an industry already hostile to homosexuality. Having one of the most influential media personalities in New York suggesting that you're gay could be career-damaging. Sermon found himself having to address rumors that he had never asked for, rumors that threatened to overshadow his musical legacy. Erick Sermon responded vehemently, denying the allegations in multiple interviews. Throughout 2012, he spoke out about how hip-hop has historically had no openly gay rappers, emphasizing the point that the culture isn't accepting of that identity. He called Williams' claims outdated and baseless, suggesting they were motivated by personal animosity rather than truth. There's an interesting backstory here. Sermon admitted to having a brief romantic involvement with Wendy Williams years earlier. According to Sermon, after their fling ended, Williams became vindictive and began spreading lies about him for ratings. This is a pattern that Williams' critics have pointed to over the years. Her willingness to use her platform to expose or attack people, sometimes with questionable motives. Let's talk about one of the most energetic, most charismatic, most unforgettable personalities in hip-hop history, Busta Rhymes. Trevor Smith Jr. With his rapid-fire delivery, his dreadlocks, and his explosive presence, Busta became one of East Coast hip-hop's most distinctive voices. But behind that larger-than-life persona, there have been persistent rumors about Busta Rhymes' sexuality that have circulated in industry circles for years. These rumors are somewhat different from others on this list because they're often based on what insiders call industry knowledge, vague stories and implications rather than specific public accusations. But in recent years, these whispers have become louder and more specific. One of the most direct allegations came from a celebrity bodyguard named Big Homie, who claimed outright that Busta Rhymes is secretly gay. This wasn't just a passing comment. Big Homie stood by his statement, leading to confrontations with other industry figures. In 2024, there was a notable incident involving Wack 100, another prominent figure in hip-hop circles, where tensions flared over these exact accusations. But Big Homie wasn't the only bodyguard to make such claims. Another security professional who had worked in the nightclub industry alleged that Busta Rhymes would request what he described as fun boys to be present in VIP sections at clubs. If true, this would suggest that Busta was engaging with men in these private, controlled environments where discretion was guaranteed. Then there's a resurfaced story from 2019, though the incident allegedly dates back further, claiming that Busta tried to pick up a man at a gay club. The details of the story are murky, and it's one of those rumors that gets passed around online without clear verification, but the fact that it keeps resurfacing shows how these stories gain traction and become part of someone's narrative. Things took a bizarre turn in 2024 when Orlando Brown, a former child actor known for making wild and often unsubstantiated claims about celebrities, listed Busta Rhymes among several rappers he alleged were involved with Diddy. Brown claimed they had sexual encounters. Though his credibility has been widely questioned due to his history of erratic behavior and outlandish statements, still, when someone makes such a specific allegation, it adds to the noise around these rumors. Then there's the incident with Azealia Banks. The controversial rapper and social media provocateur Banks accused Busta Rhymes of assaulting her boyfriend, and some speculated that this altercation was connected to rumors about Busta's hidden sexuality. Banks has never been one to hold back on social media, and her accusations only added more fuel to an already burning fire. In 2025, Busta made headlines for an assault charge against his male assistant. Social media immediately erupted with speculation that the assistant was actually Busta's boyfriend, and that the incident was a domestic dispute rather than an employer-employee altercation. People online started referring to Busta as a zest monster, using coded language to imply homosexuality. Whether there's any truth to these interpretations, or whether it was just a straightforward assault case, remains unclear when you talk about Southern hip-hop moguls. When you talk about the rise of Cash Money Records and the empire it became, you have to talk about Birdman, Brian Williams, co-founding Cash Money Records in the early 1990s with his brother Ronald Slim Williams. Birdman helped bring New Orleans hip-hop to the mainstream and shape the careers of artists like Juvenile, Lil Wayne, and the entire Hot Boys collective.
I was the president, but
He the man, no? That's OG there. I'm just
but check this out. But at the end of the day, it's all one, and we in his mansion.
Similar kisses had occurred on television shows like BET's Rhapsody in 2002 and 106 and Park. These were public displays happening in front of cameras, which made the whole situation even more perplexing to outsiders in a culture where homophobia runs deep and masculinity is policed constantly. Seeing two grown men in hip-hop kissing on the lips sparked immediate speculation about their relationship. The interpretation of these kisses has been hotly contested. Birdman has consistently explained them as father-son gestures rooted in New Orleans culture. He's positioned himself as a father figure to Lil Wayne, who came under his wing as a young teenager, and suggested that in his community, this type of affection between men who love each other like family is normal and non-sexual. He's denied any romantic or sexual intent, emphasizing that it's about love and respect, not attraction. This explanation was echoed by Turk, another former member of the Hot Boys. Turk went on record stating that all the members of the group would kiss Birdman as a greeting, that it was just how they showed affection, and that people from outside their culture were misinterpreting it. He dismissed the gay rumors as misunderstandings based on cultural differences. Birdman's brother, Terrence Gangster Williams, also defended him, insisting that the kisses weren't gay and that people were reading too much into a simple display of familial affection. But despite these explanations, the rumors persisted for many observers, especially those not from New Orleans. The behavior seemed unusual at best and suspicious at worst. Things got even more interesting in 2016 when Hot 97 radio host Ebro directly asked Birdman if he was gay during an on-air interview. Birdman's response was ambiguous. He said something to the effect of calling himself AG, which some listeners interpreted as him saying gay, while others insisted he meant gangster. The audio quality and his accent made it difficult to definitively determine what he said, leading to endless debate online. The situation with Lil Wayne takes on darker undertones when you consider allegations of grooming Juvenile, another Cash Money artist, addressed the Birdman-Wayne relationship in 2017, suggesting that Birdman's actions toward Wayne as a teenager were influenced by homosexuality and reflected poorly on how Wayne was treated as a young artist. These comments implied that what Birdman framed as fatherly love might have crossed boundaries. Given the power dynamics and Wayne's age when he first signed to Cash Money, now we come to perhaps the most controversial name on this entire list, a legend whose impact on hip-hop and popular culture cannot be overstated. Tupac Shakur. Tupac represented so many things to so many people. He was the voice of the marginalized, speaking about poverty, racism, police brutality, and the struggles of Black America with a raw honesty that few could match. He was also the embodiment of a certain kind of masculinity, tough, aggressive, uncompromising. His image was that of a warrior, a thug with a heart, someone who would die for his beliefs. So, when rumors about his sexuality surface, they create a jarring cognitive dissonance for fans. These rumors have persisted since his death, often linked to his background at the Baltimore School for the Arts, where he studied before moving to California. Tupac didn't just study rap or street culture there. He studied ballet, acting, poetry, and jazz. These are art forms that, in the narrow-minded view of hip-hop's toxic masculinity, are sometimes coded as feminine for some people, The fact that Tupac had this artistic cultured background became evidence that he might be gay, which is obviously a reductive and homophobic line of thinking. A video from 1988 when Tupac was still a teenager resurfaced years later and sparked intense debate in the footage.
The hardest thing about being my age is not everybody, but frequently teenagers are stereotyped in being loud music loving, girl chasing, car wanting, not caring about the world, cokehead.
Young Tupac displays what some viewers described as gay mannerisms, his body language, his demeanor, the way he carried himself. People pointed to his expressiveness, his sensitivity, and his comfort with his artistic side as signs that he might be hiding something about his sexuality, of course. Suggesting that someone is gay based on how they move or speak is problematic and rooted in stereotypes. But that hasn't stopped the speculation. Tupac described himself in childhood interviews as too pretty, discussing how his appearance affected how people treated him. Some have interpreted this self-awareness about his looks as a sign of something more, though it could just as easily be a young person grappling with identity and perception. His extremely close friendship with actress Jada Pinkett Smith has also been scrutinized, with some suggesting that their relationship was a cover, or that Tupac used female friendships to mask his true desires. In 2025, a documentary creator announced they were investigating claims about Tupac's sexuality, noting rumors that have circulated for decades about him being seen in compromising positions with other men. One story mentioned him supposedly exiting a room with another man who was adjusting his pants, implying a sexual encounter. These are the kinds of unverified whispered stories that become part of a legend's mythology. Whether true or not, the discourse around Tupac and these rumors often highlights how hip-hop culture punishes artistic, sensitive men by questioning their sexuality. The underlying assumption is that a real man in hip-hop can't be too thoughtful, too expressive, too in touch with his emotions, and if he is, he must be gay. This is the toxic legacy of homophobia in the culture, where masculinity is so narrowly defined that anyone who steps outside those boundaries becomes suspect. Tupac never addressed these rumors during his life because, frankly, they weren't widespread until after his death. His legacy focuses on his activism, his music, his role as a voice for the voiceless. Whether he was gay, straight, bisexual, or anything else is ultimately secondary to his impact on culture. But the rumors persist, a reminder of how legends are sometimes reduced to gossip and speculation. We've already discussed Birdman, so now it's time to talk about the other half of that infamous kiss, the man who many consider one of the greatest rappers of all time, the artist who dominated hip-hop for nearly 2 decades, Lil Wayne. Dwayne Carter Jr. Lil Wayne's story is inseparable from Cash Money Records and Birdman. He was just 11 years old when he signed to the label. Essentially growing up under Birdman's wing, the relationship between them has always been complex, part business partnership, part father-son dynamic, part something harder to define, and it's that undefined element that has fueled so much speculation over the years. The central piece of evidence in rumors about Wayne's sexuality is, of course, the same one that follows Birdman. Those images and videos of them kissing on the lips. We're not talking about one isolated incident that could be explained away as a misunderstanding. There's the 2002 appearance on BET's Rhapsody, the leaked 2006 photo, and multiple other instances where they were seen displaying this level of physical affection in public. Unlike Birdman, who has explained these kisses as cultural and familial, Lil Wayne has addressed them more directly in his music. In his 2007 remix of We Talkin' Over, Wayne rapped, "Damn right, I kiss my daddy," defending Birdman as a paternal figure who had supported him when no one else did. The lyric was Wayne's way of pushing back against the criticism and mockery he faced, essentially saying, "Yes, I did it, and I don't care what you think because Birdman was there for me." But the rumors go beyond just the kisses. Wayne's fashion choices have also been scrutinized. There have been instances where he wore clothing that some people coded as feminine, leopard print jeggings at award shows, for example in hip-hop, where fashion is deeply tied to masculinity and street credibility. These choices sparked commentary and jokes, with some suggesting they were hints about his sexuality. Another aspect of the speculation involves Wayne's personal life. He has multiple children with different women, a fact that some have suggested is a calculated effort to appear heterosexual, a beard situation on a massive scale. The logic goes that someone who's this publicly involved with women must be trying to cover up attractions to men. Of course, this is purely speculative and could just as easily mean that Wayne simply has a complicated romantic life, as many celebrities do. TQ, a former Cash Money singer, added to the conversation by claiming that Wayne and Birdman kissed frequently, but insisting it wasn't gay. He tried to normalize it as something that happened regularly within their circle, though his explanation did little to quiet the Speculation, if anything, it raised more questions about the dynamics at Cash Money Records and what was considered normal behavior there. The grooming angle has been a persistent undercurrent in discussions about Wayne, and Birdman Wayne was extremely young when he entered Birdman's life, and the power dynamics were heavily skewed even if the kisses were meant as displays of familial affection. Critics have questioned whether a grown man should be kissing a teenage boy on the lips, regardless of intent. These concerns intensified during Wayne's very public, legal, and financial battle with Birdman in mid-2010s, when their relationship completely broke down. From Atlanta comes one of the South's most charismatic and commercially successful rappers and artist who dominated the late 1990s and early 2000s with his clever wordplay, his radio-friendly hooks, and his crossover appeal. Ludacris. Christopher Bridges. The rumors about Ludacris's sexuality exploded in 2024, and they came from one of hip-hop's most controversial figures, comedian Katt Williams. During his explosive interview on Shannon Sharpe's Club Shay Shay podcast, Williams made some jaw-dropping claims about Ludacris that sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community. According to Katt Williams, both he and Ludacris were invited to what Williams described as an Illuminati thing, a reference to the conspiracy theory that a shadowy organization controls the entertainment industry. Williams claimed that Ludacris accepted this invitation and received a $200 million deal in exchange for appearing in 20 movies at $10 million each, but there was a catch. Williams alleged Ludacris had to cut his signature afro and sideburns, which had been his trademark look for years. Williams framed this as a symbolic act of submission to the powers that control Hollywood. But Williams didn't stop there. He escalated his accusations in a 2024 diss track, where he called Ludacris bicurious and alleged that he had slept with legendary music producer Quincy Jones. Williams tied these alleged sexual encounters to what he called Illuminati sacrifices, for fame, the idea that artists have to perform degrading or compromising acts to achieve success in the industry. He even went after Ludacris's wife Eudoxie, calling her an ugly-faced wife provided by the Illuminati as part of the deal. Ludacris didn't take these accusations lying down. He responded quickly with a freestyle over Kanye West's Devil in a New Dress, directly addressing Williams' claims in the track. Ludacris denied any involvement with the Illuminati, rapping, "Never been Illuminati, only Il Luda," turning the conspiracy theory into wordplay. He credited his success to hard work, talent, and the support of director John Singleton, who gave him his first major acting opportunity in Too Fast, Too Furious. In his response, Ludacris also took shots at Katt Williams, implying that the comedian was either trying to gain attention by starting beef or was under the influence of drugs when making these wild accusations. Fans of Ludacris largely praised his response, seeing it as a measured but firm rebuttal that addressed the allegations without giving them more credibility than they deserved. But Katt Williams isn't known for backing down, and the feud revealed something interesting about hip-hop culture. On one hand, Williams was using accusations of homosexuality as an attack, suggesting that sleeping with men for career advancement is degrading and shameful. On the other hand, he was exposing what many believe is a real dynamic in the entertainment industry, that powerful men sometimes leverage their positions to coerce younger artists into sexual situations. Before the Katt Williams incident, there had been vague rumors about Ludacris in the 2010s, but nothing specific or substantiated. The Williams accusations brought everything into sharp focus and forced Ludacris to publicly address questions about his sexuality. For the first time in his career, his strategy was to deny the Illuminati narrative entirely rather than getting into a point-by-point defense of his sexual orientation. From the West Coast comes Xzibit, born Alvin Joyner, a rapper who made his mark in the 1990s with hits like X and collaborations with Dr. Dre before becoming a household name as the host of MTV's Pimp My Ride. Xzibit. Alvin Joyner. The rumors surrounding Xzibit are quite different from others on this list. He's not accused of being gay himself, rather. He's become associated with these discussions because of a story he told about attending one of Diddy's infamous parties. This story has been interpreted in various ways, with some suggesting Xzibit's detailed recollection implies more involvement than he admitted to. The incident in question occurred on New Year's Eve, and Xzibit shared the story on Jamie Foxx's Foxhole Radio in 2009. He described going to Diddy's party in Miami with Kareen Steffans, better known as Superhead, a video vixen and author famous for her tell-all books about her encounters with celebrities. According to Xzibit, Diddy personally approached him and warned him about Steffans, calling her the devil. Ironic given what we now know about Diddy's own behavior, but the story takes a turn when Diddy invited both of them to an after-hours club called Space. Xzibit described walking into the venue and being shocked by what he saw: men kissing each other, a naked male dancer, an atmosphere that he characterized as having a gay club vibe. Xzibit says he immediately felt uncomfortable and left without even saying goodbye to Diddy. This is where interpretation becomes tricky. Some people have suggested that Xzibit's willingness To go to this after-hours club with Diddy, and his detailed memory of what happened there implies that he was more involved in Diddy's world of alleged secret gay parties than he lets on the thinking goes. If you really left immediately and were so uncomfortable, why remember the details so vividly? Why tell the story at all? Xzibit himself addressed the speculation in a statement, clarifying that he has no beef with Diddy and explaining that the club wasn't explicitly a gay club, it just happened to have DJs like Victor Calderone who have a large gay following. He emphasized that he wasn't trying to spread hate or perpetuate homophobia and that the media had spun his story in ways he didn't intend. He also criticized how hip-hop coverage often sensationalizes anything related to homosexuality, turning innocent stories into scandals. Xzibit positioned himself as someone who focuses on art and music, not gossip or controversy. His statement was an attempt to distance himself from the narrative that was building around him. The story resurfaced in 2023 and 2024 as the allegations against Diddy became more serious and widespread. Every story about Diddy's parties was re-examined, every witness statement was analyzed, and Xzibit's radio interview from 2009 was pulled out and discussed as potential evidence of Diddy's freak-off culture. But even in this renewed context, there's no concrete evidence that Xzibit was involved in anything beyond being an unwitting attendee at a party that made him uncomfortable. Some of the toughest voices in rap have opened up about their truth, and it's changing the game forever. Click on the card on your screen for